Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do an equipment tour today. This is our main shed here. This is the machine and hay shed. We have a couple other sheds, which we will show you them in a minute, but this is the main shed that holds everything. First piece of equipment you guys have seen plenty of times. This is the AGCO LS 6670. I forget what year it is, honestly. I want to say it's like a late 90s model. It's a 70 horse tractor, four-wheel drive. It's got a loader on it. This is our main chore tractor. It does a vast amount of work around here just with it being a loader. Four-wheel drive, so obviously you get in predicaments where you need four-wheel drive. You got four-wheel drive. 70 horse is kind of that borderline horsepower where it's, you know, not a lot of horsepower, but it's still enough to where it can do pretty much any job on the farm. It's got wheel weights back here and tire ballast. The rim is corroding, but we'll get that fixed here. It'll push snow, scoop manure, dirt work, really anything we need it to do. Cab tractor. It's just a nice tractor to have on the farm. This is our Case IH 3309 disc bind. Good solid machine under here. We've done some work to the cutter bar. We got new skid plates underneath there and some new knives. I also sharpened all the old ones on there. It's a 9-foot disc bind. Could be bigger, but I mean, it fits real well in our operation. We pull it with the 966, which is plenty of horsepower for it, but it's also kind of that smaller size to where if the 966 breaks down, we do pull it with the AGCO, which has actually happened plenty of times. So it kind of fits perfectly in our operation. This is our Krone 4-star tedder. I forget the model number. They use kind of weird numbering systems on these things, but 4-star tedder, you can knock out a lot of hay with 4-star. 6-star would be cool, but the 4-star does plenty of work in a short amount of time. This right here is my grandpa's old Case 730 that he passed down to me before he died. This is a 2-wheel drive tractor, 4-cylinder gas, been our most reliable machine on the farm, although it is starting to leak down there, but we'll get that fixed here at some point. Awesome tractor. It's really good for backing up wagons because it's a 2-wheel drive, but it does suck a lot of gas. Its main job though is to rake hay, and every now and again it teads hay. This right here is our Kuhn rotary rake. It's a GA 4120 TH model. As you can see, if you watch any of our latest videos, you'll all know that we did a whole rebuild to this thing because I absolutely blew it apart back in the summer. But it is a brand new rake pretty much now, and it is a really nice machine, much better than a roller bar in my opinion. This right here is kind of the brains of the operation, not really, but it's a very important piece. This is the New Holland 316 square baler. This is a 1989, I want to say, and for being that old, it is in immaculate condition. Really nice baler. Got a Model 70 thrower on the back because we have kicker wagons. I'd like to get away from kicker wagons someday and get an accumulator, but right now the thrower works just fine. Super clean baler all around. Couldn't tell you how many bales have gone through it because it's been through a handful of counters even since we have had it because they don't make counters like they used to anymore. But super clean baler. I've done a little bit of painting here and there just to kind of touch up some spots like right there. But super clean baler. We pull this with the 966, sometimes with the AGCO. Got 3 wagons out here. Around the corner over here, we have an old cultipacker that actually needs a little bit of fixing up, and I got to use it here sometime soon. There's a bearing on this one side that has fallen apart, but it's just an old cultipacker that every now and again I rarely use. So that's the main machine shed. Obviously, you look inside, there are some hay bales in there. So in summertime, you know, this thing is packed full of hay and machinery, and honestly, we could use another barn. Now, I don't know if I formally introduced this guy. This is my new pickup truck, not the farm truck, but my truck that I bought, but we will use it for some farm use. 6.0 Power Stroke, studded, pretty nice truck, 9-blade turbo in it. We'll give her a crank here for you. And this is the 966. It's 100 horsepower roughly. It pulls our mower and our baler. And in this case today, we're running the disc on it. We had our manure pile sitting out there, and there was just, you know, a lot of compaction in this area from loading the spreader and driving around the loader and everything. So I've been running the disc over it, trying to fluff up the soil, and it's pretty fluffy. We bought this tractor back in 2022, and then we had them put a canopy on it. The tractor itself didn't have a canopy at first, but we wanted to put a canopy on it just because it's an open station tractor and you're spending a lot of time out there in the dust. It's nice to have the canopy, and it is definitely worth it. Almost want to put some like pod lights on it because there have been a few times where I'm like, I wish I had some lights. So pretty nice tractor. It's been kind of a lemon for us though. If you've watched our channel for any bit of time, you know that we've kind of had never-ending issues with it. but we think we're over the hump with it. We ran it all last summer with pretty much no issues. So far, we haven't had any major problems with it yet here this year. Hopefully it stays that way. Now, this disc is an old bush hog disc. That was my Pup-Ups. I bought it off of him, I think, for like 200 bucks. And then I spent another 150, 200 bucks on some hoses and a cylinder. Pulled it out of the weeds, and I was gonna sell it on Marketplace. But then we started using it from time to time, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna keep it. I use it mainly for my food plots. It's nice to have a disc just to turn some soil. I don't use it a whole lot on the farm, except for random applications like this. We're just trying to do this. We do pretty much no-till, but in this case, we just kind of need to fluff up the soil a little bit. So it was nice to have this disc on hand. It is a beat up, banged up disc. This gang out here is bent, as you can see. Tires are like going flat on it. I have never greased this thing once, and I probably should, but it's kind of just one of those things. There's like mold and moss growing on it, so it's kind of, yeah, it's just one of those things that we never really use except for maybe 3 times out of the year. But when we do use it, we're thankful that we have it, because it's kind of just nice to have something that moves a little bit of dirt. This here is our kind of garage slash workshop, and here is the shop that we do all of our equipment work on. Back here is a little Kubota tractor that we don't really use for farming, but we use it for some gardening and random stuff around the farm. I also use it in my food plots. But when I was doing food plots last year, I knocked the tire off of the bead, and now the tire is shot, so I gotta get a new tire. We've got a welding bench, a workbench, turbo off my truck, tools. Over here we got fluids and that sort of thing, welder and torch and a vacuum and toolbox. Out here is kind of the mess of stuff, a plate of steel, teeth for the bucket, random broken rake parts, a couple more rake parts that gotta go on, a grass seed for our fields this year, lawn mowers, generator, you know, kind of more just home stuff. This piece of iron right here is our prehistoric Rhino Ag bush hog. It has seen better days, and it also hasn't seen any mowing in like 5 years. We actually took it out of the bushes like 2 years ago and started to work on it, and haven't worked on it since, and it's been sitting there for like 2 years, and we've been mowing around it, and it needs to be moved so we can actually use it, because it would be nice to have an actual working bush hog. This here is our third and final barn. We don't have much equipment out here, but I'll give you a rundown anyway. This side of the barn is where we store most of our steer hay. Got a couple big bales in there. There is a post hole driller back there, but that's all we got for equipment here. They feed themselves in here. Fodder bales back there. Headlock and a chute right here. Got an old middle buster there, an old New Holland running gear there, an old 3-point scraper blade. Used it once or twice in my life. And over there is an old Oliver 3-bottom plow. So that's all we got for equipment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, follow along. See you next time.